Lamont Stephens is the CEO of Business Success Global. He's a marketing expert, a coach, an author, and speaker. But most of all, he's a man of God. He has a passion for ministry, marketing, and music. Lamont Williams, welcome to the Bree Talk stage.
Hey, thank you, Tara Lee. I appreciate the opportunity to share with everyone. And I just want to acknowledge the audience for taking the time out of your busy schedule and making an investment into yourself, and also making a commitment to show up. I always tease as a boy, I used to watch G.I. Joe, and he would always say, showing up is half the battle. And so today I just want to speak from a title, Faith It Till You Make It. And if I was to use a subtitle, it would be Don't Give Up. As Tara Lee mentioned, I am very passionate about ministry, marketing, and music. And I know that's a combination, and you can throw media in there as well. But as I've gone through my career as an informational marketer, it was taboo early on in my career to really speak about my faith and, any topic relating to that. But, I was really, one of those, rebellious people who said, I'm going to do it anyway. And in fact, how many of you, if given the opportunity to do a book with the godfather of direct response marketing, Dan Kennedy, would take him up on that offer? Well, that's exactly the opportunity that was presented to me in 2012. But prior to doing that, I had a profound experience that happened to me that has shaped my career, that has shaped what I do even to this particular day. Have you ever noticed that prayer can sometimes feel like calling tech support? You know that you dial to that heavenly hotline, and you're like, "Hello, God, I've got this problem, and I need your help." And just when you think you're getting the answer, you get disconnected, and you're left wondering, "Did he hear me, or do I need to call again?" But here's the good news: God doesn't put you on hold. His line is never busy. And I found myself as, as a preacher, I was preparing for a sermon, and I got that call that no one wishes to get. And it was a call that our youth pastor, Jim, had just passed away with some kind of acute pancreatic cancer attack or whatever. Jim and his family, he had a wife and three girls, one probably from the age of 5 to one that was about 16, 17. And our families were close. As you can imagine, we've been doing ministry together. My kids were very close to his kids, and my wife and his wife were, pretty close as well. And as I was preparing that message for that Sunday, even as I'm sharing this now, I'm getting a little choked up, but it was based off of 2 Kings chapter 4, 1-7. And, I believe, I really believe that everybody has a mission. And when I say a mission, I mean, everybody's called to serve somebody. And I believe everybody should have a vision. And that vision is, what is the outcome do you see you doing in the lives of people? And then everybody should have a purpose, a why behind what they do. And so even as I, sit here today, and as I'm sharing this story about Jim, Jim happens to be, his story and what happened to his family happened to be my big why at the time. And so as I began to prepare this sermon in 2 Kings 4, 1-7, it was ironic because the story was about a widow who had just lost her husband, and she had a couple kids that were about to be taken away from her because her husband had left her with a lot of debt. And she goes up to her husband's mentor, the prophet Elisha, and she's she pours her heart out to him, and the prophet looks to her and he asked her two questions. The first question he asked her was, "What do you want?" And then the second question he asked her, "What do you have in the house?" Now, her response, was, "We have nothing in the house except this jar of oil." And this certain woman, as she was dialoguing with the prophet Elisha gave her a plan. And he tells her to go borrow as many empty vessels as she possibly can from her neighbor and to bring them back into the house and close the door behind her and her sons. And so that was kind of the first stage, or the first step that he had given her. And so she went and did exactly what he told her to do. And then she comes back and she says, "Hey, I've done this." And so then he gives her the second part of the plan. And he says, "Now what I want you to do is go sell this." And he tells her to pay off her debt and live off the rest. Now, what is significant about this story is that this woman only had a very minute jar of oil, and there was no possible, or there was no way that she could pour into these empty vessels that she had gathered with this little jar of oil. It was a miracle that she was able to do this. But what was significant about this particular thing is that her oil had ceased when she no longer had any empty vessels. In other words, her provision was in direct proportion to her faith. In other words, as many vessels as she could see herself, empty vessels as she could see herself gathering, her oil, she had enough oil to fill every empty vessel that was brought into the house. And so why am I telling you this story? Because there's some things in this particular story that has shaped shaped what I do with clients. First of all, I looked at this prophet Elisha as being a coach to this woman. This woman had a problem. This problem affected her family. And when I look at this particular problem that this certain woman had is, her response to him when he asked her, "What do you want and what do you have in the house?" Her response is very similar to what I see a lot of people do, or a lot of people respond, is she focused on what she didn't have. In other words, she says, "I have nothing except the jar of oil." Now, the prophet didn't ask her what she didn't have. He asked her, what did she have? And when I look at coaching, and when I look at the work that I do with my client, the first thing I want to know is what do you really want? And second of all, what do you have in the house? In other words, we're looking to utilize the skills, the abilities, the talents, the things that you already possess in your own wheelhouse, and we want to try to shape your situation or help you get out of the situation that you're in based on the tools and the skills and the things that you already possess within your possession. And a lot of times when we're in the situation, we're in the crisis moment, a lot of times we're focused on what we don't have instead of what we do have. I believe that, that this woman, as the scripture says, she was a certain woman. And I'm going to describe why I believe the Bible uses a certain woman, because there was a lot of widows in this particular day, but this particular widow was a recipient of a miracle that would change her life forever. And so when I began to look at this particular thing, he tells her to go borrow a lot of empty vessels from her neighbor. And as I look into my own coaching practice, this was a message actually for me, is that for me, I'm looking for empty people that I can pour myself into. I'm looking for empty vessels, people that are willing to step up and say, "Hey, I'm willing to do whatever it is, whatever it takes to get the job done." And just so you know, I've got enough oil, to pour in all those empty vessels. And so this is a second thing that I thought with this woman, is that this woman never complained about the instructions that she got from her coach. And I thought, what a phenomenal disposition this woman had. This woman in crisis moment, she's willing to reach out to a mentor. She's willing to reach out for assistance. And so she goes and does what she has. And then, and the scripture doesn't say that this woman became rich, but what this woman did go from, she went from not having enough to having just enough to having more than enough. And so as she begins to execute the plan, she begins to execute the action plan that was given to her by her coach, this woman saw success. She was able to pay off the debts, which allowed her to provide for her family. But not only that, she was able to live off the rest, the access of it. And so, as I began to think about this story with Jim, and as I began to share this sermon on that Sunday morning, and I looked into the eyes of his wife, and I looked into the eyes of his kids, I knew that this family was going to be okay. And so today I want to just leave you with I want to leave you, as I told you before, a song. When I gave this particular invitation, I ended this particular message with a song called "Don't Give Up." And I just want to give you a little bit of it, because perhaps today you have been you've been laboring in your business. You've been trying to get it done. And what I want to tell you about this woman is that this certain woman, the one thing that separated her from everybody else is that this was a woman of faith. And that's why I said, faith it till you make it. This woman faithed it till she made it. And I want to just encourage you today that if you're in this position, you've been grinding, you've been trying to get there. I didn't say fake it till you make it. I said faith it till you make it. And so that's exactly what this certain woman did. And so I want to leave you with this little song as I close this talk. But I also closed this talk when I spoke to Jim and his family. And the song is just a very simple song, and it just says, "Don't give up. Someone really loves you. Don't give up. Someone really cares. Don't give up. Someone really loves you. And that someone is the Lord. Keep the faith. Someone really loves you. Keep the faith. Someone really cares. Keep the faith. Someone really loves you. And that someone is the Lord. And that someone is the Lord." Thank you.